Hi, Tarot Love Bots. Welcome to Tarot Jam. Point 2. We are here to talk tarot. So I'm hoping that lots of fabulous members of the community want to share some tarot goodness tonight. I was doing readings all day today, so I am like, my throat is like hurt. So I'm drinking my ginger and lemon tea. I've slightly become obsessed with it. So I asked the last time, the first thing that we asked was, that I asked everyone was, what decks are you guys working with at the moment? So I know we've got some newbies on here, like some people who weren't on last time. So what decks are you guys working with this week? Has it changed, or are you still working with the same ones? Have you been drawn to new ones? What are we all slinging cards with? Diane, Tarot of the Trees. Oh, I love that deck. Elysium, World Spirit Tarot, Chatham Map, Shadowscapes, The Wild Unknown, Mystic Cats, Pagan Cats, mostly Wild Unknown, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Oh, I love that deck so much. It's so beautiful. I have 2 copies of that, just like a backup. Universal Weight. Got the Deck of Shadows and the Rider's Tarot. Ooh, still the same, working on the Witch's Tarot and the Lumina. Rider-Waite, Alicia, the Moon Deck Oracle and Tarot of the Burrows, Jess, Wildwolf Druidcraft. Does anyone here really wish that they would reprint the Greenwood? I mean, I don't think they're ever going to. But man, there's like that one copy on eBay that's always like for over $1,000, and I'm like, damn it, can't justify that. Not one that can buy me, like, I don't know, a month's rent. The Fountain Tarot, the Enchanted Oracle, Messenger Cards. I'm pretty sure a bunch of you saw on my Instagram. I need to get the box out for this, but I got gifted. Oh my gosh, it's so bright in here. I got gifted by a lovely member of our community, the Victoria Regina Tarot. I didn't realize the cards were so big. Like, they're so lovely. Oh my stars. Like, I know, I'm so lucky. This has been on my wish list for years, and I missed every single time I went to go find it on eBay, because I have certain searches that I keep. I always miss out on it. So I got this, which part of me doesn't want to use, but the other part of me really wants to use, which is pretty amazing. And I know a bunch of you guys saw this on social media. I have an addiction, everybody. So this is the, I don't know how to say it, the Jonas Giles Tarot. Now, good news is there's going to be a reprint. This is a very big deck. I can show you guys the link at the Academy later. They're really, really long cards, but the artwork is so sublime. Let me find you guys some. She even had a print of this one, which is the Queen of Swords, and I really wish I'd gotten that, but I wasn't lucky enough. But there is going to be a reprint, so make sure you follow this lovely soul on Instagram. And the lighting in here is like super blue because it's so dark outside, and the light's but just like gorgeous. So again, like these decks, I mean, I would love to hear from you guys. What do you guys do with your your the decks that are like out of print or rare? Do you guys use them, or do you just like bring them out to look at them and then just go, shit, I better put it away before yeah, the color is hard to see because the reflection is harsh. I did acknowledge that. I can't do much about how dark it is in here. Jess, I don't read for other people with precious decks. Diane, I'm afraid to use my own ones. Never uses them. Did someone want to chat about that? I use them, but just for me. I have a couple of decks that are out of print I don't connect with, so I don't use them anyway. I'd like to look at them. I use them, you only live once. This is true. You do only live once. Oh, Leah, You can talk, honey. Just start talking and we'll track you. Where are you?
I don't know. Can you hear me?
I can. I'm trying to find like where you are so I can get the camera on you. Keep talking.
No, I'm actually writing down like what everybody's talking about. So I can check out these decks. Like I'm not familiar with some of them, so I had to grab my notebook real quick. So I'm like, Tarot of Trees, Greenwood. I don't know these, so
we'll have to do a show and tell later.
Yeah.
on the Academy page.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll keep making sure that we go back to if there's anything that we cover on this that you guys miss or you want me to talk about because the chat doesn't go over to the video. Just let me know.
Hello, everyone.
Keep talking.
This is all new to me, Ethne. I'm just I'm trying to find my way here. I'm not on video. I'm not that brave yet.
So who are we talking to, just so we know who you...
Diane, Go Within Healing.
Oh, hi. How are you?
Still awake, still kicking here on the East Coast.
Woo woo! West Coast, East Coast represent.
So I'm Alyssa, and I'm a new tarot reader, and I don't have any super special cards, but my humidifier exploded the other night, and half of my cards soaked up all the water.
Oh no!
So I did my best in my half asleep state to dry them out, but there's definitely some very warped cards in my deck now, and I'm wondering if anyone has dealt with that in the past and how you fixed it. Like, do I have to iron them? Like,
are they fully dry?
They're fully dry now.
Okay, so what deck is it?
It's the World Spirit Tarot deck.
Oh, fuck. It's like, it couldn't just be some run-of-the-mill random. Like, damn it, like it had to be that deck. I have been very lucky, knock wood. Honestly, I think I don't know what I would do. It's like, if my tarot deck collection got trashed with water. I would put something heavy on it. But has anyone else had to deal with like cards getting ruined because of water? The only thing I can think of is like putting a heavy weight, press it between books. I'd cry forever. I'd cry forever too. You guys would just hear me screaming. I'd be like, no, like, yeah, it'd be terrible.
There should be a tarot readers relief fund for such things.
Well, I know that what happened with, I don't know if, I know many of us know Kellyanne Maddox. She had Watergate last year, or was it 2015? I can't remember, but I think it was last year, where the apartment flooded and a whole bunch of her decks got ruined. And yeah, 2015, so Jess knows. And a whole bunch of people sent her, you know, like when that's your source of, you know, your tool of choice for healing and your tool of choice for serving the community and your income, which it is for her, and it would be for me, you'd be fucked, to put it nicely. That's why, like, I would never ever live in a basement suite, like, ever. It would be like terrible. No, I just couldn't do it. I'm like, and most of my decks are up high, so even if something did get flooded, it would have to get flooded pretty bad in here for it to get ruined. So I'm a bit, yeah.
Hey.
So talk.
I was actually just wondering, because this might be a little relevant to you as well, Ethne. It's just those things that happen as far as your tarot biz are concerned that kind of put a stopper in your business, because I know that you were having the internet troubles and, like, you know, Kelly had to deal with ruined decks. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that. How do you handle those kinds of rough patches in a business when it has no fault of your own?
Oh yeah, that is a shitty place to be in. So a lot of you know that so my ex, my works were saying co-partner. Thanks to Leah for that beautiful thing. It's not specialized in saying ex, and we're really good friends. We've been friends for 10 years. It was completely perfect the way it was. Moved out, so they cut my internet because they cut the wrong service. and we still haven't got a car, and it's just been absolute chaos, and my kid's been at home because I can't get him to his daycare, which he only goes to 2 days a week, so I usually cram in all my readings in that time. So it's been a real fuck up. The big thing I would say when things like that happen, and thank goodness they don't happen often, is I know I emailed a bunch of people who were waiting for readings. I have a really I just have like a bullet journal system for keeping track of who's waiting for readings from me, and my email, but just so I have it somewhere else as well. And I just went through and I emailed everyone and said, look, here's the sitch. If it's a real urgent reading, please let me know, and I can either see what I can do or I can give you a refund. But most people were just happy to wait because it was going to get fixed pretty quickly. But when stuff happens, for me, it's just like people are very understanding. Like I was getting back to summer school teachers, because some of them I haven't even gotten back to, saying whether they're going to be in summer school or not this year, because I haven't had an internet. And I'm just like, I'm so sorry, I've had such a shit 2 weeks. And then they've come back going, yep, same thing's happened to me before. And then, everyone's had that human experience of like shit hitting the fan. So I think as long as you can just become like, I was real and I owned it, and I just said, look, I'm really, really sorry. This is not how I operate normally. I have a really good reputation. It's just this happens, right? So I just had to laugh, Jordan, and give it up and just be like, okay, let's go play in the snow. Like, what else are you going to do? Yeah. But as long as you're communicating with people, I think that's the big thing, right? Because we all get annoyed with customer service of any kind when we feel like we're being ignored, right? Whether you're at a restaurant and that bloody waiter walks past like a million times, you're like, hello, like, do I need to flash my boobies here to get some service? Or someone's not getting back to you. It's all about communicating. So if you ever get really stuck, just let people know that shit has happened. So yeah, I hope that helps your question.
Hey, this is Ravenson.
Hi.
I'm driving right now, so you can't see me.
Okay.
It's all in the dark here in Colorado. Anyways, getting back to the gal that got her cards wet, do not use an iron.
Okay.
It will make the sealant, the laminate, peel away from the paper.
Oh, yeah, of course it would.
I know, I've done it before.
Thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, of course. I didn't even think of that. Thank you so much for that. Well, hopefully, is that deck out of print, the World Spirit Tarot?
No, she just reprinted it, actually. I just got the new reprint, the second edition.
Excuse me? That's reprinted?
Yeah.
Oh, it's gonna go on Amazon right now. Excuse me.
Yeah. Ansel O'Leary is the woman who made them, and you can go to her Instagram and find her there, or probably if you just look for World Spirit Tarot second edition, I'm sure you can find it. But yeah.
I've got the first, but I mean, you could even contact her and say, like, do you have any spare copies around? Like, if someone emailed me and said, I bought you Awakened Soul Oracle and it got trashed, I'd be like, I'll send you a new one. Like, the shit like that happens. It's awful. Yeah. Okay, cool. Thanks everyone for being so good about muting and unmuting yourself, by the way. You guys are amazing. Okay, so we did have a question from Michelle. Michelle, are you here? Are you here? Michelle. That might be you. I'm not sure if it is you, because there's more than one Michelle in the world. So Michelle asked, combining tarot, oracle, and Lenormand, and I'm saying that wrong, and I'm saying that like a total white English person, in a reading, not necessarily all three, but different divination decks in a single reading. And then her second question is, how much self-reading is too much? So let's tackle like how much self-reading is too much. How often do you guys think reading for yourself, actually, is reading for yourself a good fucking idea in the first place? And how often do you guys do it? So I'm going to open this up to the floor. I would love some people to chat. And
I think reading for yourself is fantastic. I think that we know ourselves better than other people. And, you know, beyond daily draws, when I've got a difficult situation, I try to tackle it myself with a reading. But if it feels like I'm too close to it, if it's too much, I'll go outside to somebody else for a reading. But I think it's addictive to read for yourself and to try to be like, you know, is this person going to do this thing or any of that kind of stuff? You know, when you try to pick it apart too much, that's when you got to take a step back and be like, I need to be, you know, owning my own stuff, right? Instead of trying to pick apart the situation too much.
And do you think, Jess, just on that, do you think it's also dependent on the kind of reading you're doing for yourself?
Yep, definitely. When it comes to, like, say, my health or my finances, that's something as a reader I never do for other people. Your physical health, your pregnancies, your personal finances, your business finances, I'm sorry, I won't touch it. That's too dicey for me. But I'll do that for myself, no problem. But I think if you're getting into some like really heavy stuff where it feels overwhelming, I think another person's opinion can be worth its weight in gold.
Totally.
My thoughts on it is that, you know, reading for yourself can be an extraordinary way to learn in reading, especially if you're trying out a different reading or a different style of reading, or, you know, we all do it with new decks. A lot of us, I think, read for ourselves to try those out first before we try to read for anyone else with them.
That's a really good point too, hey? Like if you've got a new deck, like, and especially if the deck is a different system to then maybe you're used to, or the imagery is really different, sometimes it can be really good to spend a bit of time personally with the deck first before you kind of venture it out into the world without its little training wheels and you let it go. I know that that's what I do, and that's something that I would recommend like my students to do too. It's like, get to know it first, have a relationship, because I know this might sound really weird for people who aren't into tarot, but that's none of you guys, so I'm not going to sound crazy. But like each deck, almost, a lot of decks have their own language, whether it's their own language with the symbols or with their interpretation, or the way in which we incorporate that or interpret that, because we have different life experiences and different, you know, backgrounds. So it can be fun to play with that on your own first before you kind of read for somebody else.
I guess what I was trying, because what I do is I pull 7 cards, one for every day of the week on the Sunday. And 1 second here, get off of those, thank you. And then I do 7 tarot cards on the Sunday, and I write them down in my Soulflower agenda that I got. And then I pull an oracle card the day of, and then write that in and see how they sort of correlate. But then, of course, you know, you've got your new moon readings and then your full moon readings, and then, you know, just all sort of the, you know, I guess, you know, to try things that I tend to probably overread more than anything. I think it's just me trying to get used to different, figuring out how cards work in spreads or work with each other. And with me changing up my decks, like every month I'm doing a different tarot and a different oracle deck every month.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And that, thank you for sharing. And that's a good point. Like there are so many spreads and so many like events, you know, every new moon, full moon, Sabbats, wheel of the year, like depending on kind of like what you do. Mercury retrograde, I mean, like the sun rose, let's do a tarot spread. Like it can feel a little bit like that. But it certainly is a very fun way to definitely to learn and to practice for sure. I like what Natasha said about is knowing when to stop, not to ask the same question over and over expecting a new answer. And know when you're trying to get the answer you want versus what is now. And that's really important, right? And this is where that reflection and that emotional intelligence comes in and it goes, okay, we need to look at the tarot. Well, this is how I view it anyway, and you guys can add your own. We should look at the tarot like our sassy friend who's going to tell us how it is, and that yes, our butt does look bad in that like dress, and not as like this is a self-soothing thing. This is not something that's necessarily going to be like, oh, it's okay. Tarot is most likely going to call you out. So if we can see it that way, it's a little bit easier than just kind of going, I'm going to keep flipping the cards until, yay, 10 of Pentacles. Like, it's like, that was going to come up eventually, but,
What's interesting is that sometimes some spreads I will record and keep. Some I just, like today, I just did one at work. I came across it. It just looked interesting. And so I just sort of threw it out on my desk at work at the end of the day. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, I can see that. And, not recording it, but sort of scoop everything up afterwards and put it away. But I did one for Jeff, my partner, the other day and recorded that one. I liked that one. Like the spread, not necessarily the cards that came up. Spread that, I tend to do more about the spread as opposed to, what the cards are. I never pull just till I get what I want.
Right. You're working in a structure of a spread, right? And that's where spreads can be good.
Yeah.
And I do both. Sometimes I do, sometimes I have it just free flowing, like I'm telling a story. But other times, like that's where having a spread is good because it'll like stop you there. It's like, okay, we've got enough. There's clearly something here for you to, look at, and at least you're giving yourself that framework. And spreads are amazing for getting to learn your tarot cards in a number of ways. So because say you have the past position, you could learn the tarot card meaning for every card in the past for every different question. So love, money, so the way that spreads are such an amazing educational tool, not just as a reading tool as well. Because what it does, it diversifies your way, like your ability to connect and read those cards. So you don't have to use them, you can use them, but it's just more that, I think that reading for yourself in a daily way, especially if you're doing spiritual works, there's nothing wrong with that at all. But the danger, as we've said, is like looking for the answer rather than accepting the answer that we get. So it's like,
Thanks, everybody.
Do we want to answer your second question, which was, who here combines tarot, oracle, and Lenormand? Not necessarily all three. And how do you guys do that with a single reading? Most people know me on here. Actually, I'm sure you guys all know me on here. I definitely do combine. For me, it's usually tarot and oracle. I like Lenormand, but for me, I usually do a grand tableau, and that takes up quite a bit of space. And tarot has always been home for me. And the oracle I use as either a way to close it out, to give a closing energy and a kind of bit of a takeaway, or as a focal point to try and to sort of add a little bit of something. So that's how I like to do it. Lyra said, I let the oracle to ask the question and then the tarot to answer it. Interesting. So the oracle is like one part of you asking the question, and then the tarot is the other part. Did you want to talk on that?
Sure. Hi. So I have multiple kinds of oracle decks, and some of them, like I have some oracle decks that are literally just questions on the cards themselves, like this or that, or black or white, or how do you feel about their question. But sometimes it's hard to know what the right question is to ask because you've been letting it swirl in your head for so long, or it's a problem that you've been working on for a long time. And so you have 1,000 questions and you don't know where to start. But sometimes what I do is how do I explain that? Like I'll take an oracle deck that that has maybe feelings in it, or it might say love on one card and colors on another card and passion on another one, so now you've created, so without having to force anything, you've created a 3-card spread for you that is focused already, or Oracle tells you what that is, and then you can use tarot to answer those questions. So if the Oracle says love, and you pull the 2 of Pentacles, now you're saying, okay, well, so I must be juggling love, or there must be something that's causing me to feel like I'm going back and forth related to love on this question. And so you can get deeper and deeper into that. So you can either read it right on top or read the intuitive, or and then you can see how the cards, the Oracle and the tarot card, relate to each other. So sometimes, like if there's a picture of a juggler, and maybe the juggler is looking up, and the way that you put the Oracle cards, there's a love card, and the person, maybe it's a lady, and she's looking down. So now your juggler is looking up, and your love card is looking down. So there's a relationship that you can talk about, but maybe there's a block. Maybe you can put all of those different layers into the cards. So the Oracle asks the question and tarot gives the answer. So you can build a whole spread, or just lay out as many cards as you're called to, and then pull those out, or one Oracle card and one tarot card, and still lots of information.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. Everyone's going to be like, oh, I'm going to do that. Does anybody else have a different way that they...
My way is very similar. What I do is I use the Oracle deck, usually draw a single card for a significator, and then deal out the tarot around it.
Cool. So you're using that as the focal point.
Yeah.
At the beginning. Cool. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Does anyone here actually find the opposite? Does anyone here find that, combining doesn't actually add anything, or just confuses the shit out of you? Or is there anyone here that, or is everyone just like, the more cards the better? You're just going to throw them all out there and just dance around in my 150 cards and try and get the answer?
For the times that I've tried, it depends on what tarot and Oracle deck I'm using. Sometimes they really connect, and sometimes it's like 2 magnets that you're trying to push together. So I have the Circo Tarot, which I love, and it apparently will only speak to your Awakened Soul Oracle deck. It doesn't work with no other Oracle deck. Well, there's no compatibility with any other Oracle deck for that particular tarot deck, which is fine, and you sometimes get a different perspective from another deck, but it's like sometimes with that deck I tend to get the opposite if I use any other Oracle deck. Okay. So it's like, okay, well, I'm not getting any answers now because it's just yes, no, yes, no, no, yes, so I sort of I end up pairing them up.
Oh, cool.
I think that's when the deck interviews come in really handy. Like if you do I saw that when I joined Instagram too. Like if somebody got a new deck, they'd be like, oh, I did the deck interview. And I was like, what is this magical thing that people are doing with deck interviews? So as I started to get more decks, I think you can almost see how they might pair together. I mean, you don't know until you actually do it, but I know sometimes I'll ruminate during the day and I'll think, that might actually really work with this deck. You have to think about it a little bit. But I always go back to that initial deck interview that I did and look at like the strengths. And then depending on the situation, you can kind of maybe do a pairing, see if it works out.
And that's very much like, I don't find that so much when I'm pairing. Oh no, I guess I do, because I do it intuitively. And I always go with what tarot deck I'm using first. So it all starts there, because as many of you know, like my Victorian Romantic is my go-to love for I love this so much. My Aura-Soma is for my Aura-Soma readings specifically. And then my tarot, my other ones will mix throughout the year. And my go-to is usually the Duracraft or the Morgan Greer. So I start there and then I'm like, okay, what's going to go with it? And, if it's a love reading, I might go to the True Love Oracle deck, or, the Lover's Oracle or something like that. Whereas if it's so for me, I do it intuitively that way. I always pick the tarot deck first, and then I kind of go with what vibe is going to sit with that deck and that reading and that client. Like, I'm not going to, there are some clients that I just know because I know them. I'm like, I'm not going to pick that deck. Like, that deck doesn't resonate with them when I've tuned into their energy and getting ready for the reading. I'm like, nope. It's just like, nope, just not going to get anything on that one. So yeah, totally go with my instinct. So
I like to intuitively try to pair them up too. I like to, I'm like you, Anthony, I grab my tarot deck first, and then the oracle will usually come after and try to figure it out. And sometimes I'll pull them and use them together in the reading. There might be one from each deck for each position. Other times there might just be a couple of oracle cards spread at key places throughout the reading, or just as a wrap up at the end. Sometimes oracle has a way of just tying it all together and putting that little bow on the end of a reading, of summing it up in that one or two magical words.
Totally. And I think I mentioned it before when I said sometimes with a reading, like at least the first time, and that's why I like doing recorded video readings or email readings, because you can go back and reread them or rewatch the video. Sometimes it's like the last thing that people hear is the one thing they're going to take away the first time through, right? So it's nice to kind of wrap it up, like you said, and put the little bow on it. Yeah, so there we go. Jill,
sorry to interrupt.
No.
Speaking of videotaping for the people that you're reading, I don't know if you went over this last time, but do you use Zoom to do that, or do you use Skype, or it just depends on what the client has?
For pre-records, so my way of doing it mostly is pre-records. My coaching clients that I do business coaching with are on Skype. But for a pre-recorded video, I use QuickTime. And yeah, I just use that. You can use Zoom. Like, Zoom is amazing and free, and the files are so much smaller than QuickTime. But I usually use QuickTime for that, for recording them, for sure. And it just does an MP4 and it's super easy. So I have a Mac too, so I'm not sure if you guys, I'm pretty sure you can get QuickTime for PC, I think. Jill asked, she just started at the Academy, our Oracle Decks Explained. We did talk about this last week, but I'll, not last Tarot Jam, but I posted about it on the Academy. And the consensus and my view on this is, of course, because I know everything about tarot, not. My consensus of this is that the tarot has a specific structure that includes the major arcana. Doesn't matter how the tarot person who's created it has decided to, if they've renamed them or added a card or whatever it is, that structure from the Fool to the World, it's got to be in there somewhere in some respect. The minor arcana and the court cards, and they're usually 78 cards. I would still classify decks that have a couple of extras as tarot. But if I don't have, I'm a purist, or I'm not really, like, I'm all for being a rebel. But the system of tarot as it is that functions with that space, for me, needs to have the major arcana, the minor arcana, and the court cards. And Oracle decks are completely free form. The Oracle creator can decide how many cards there are, what theme, anything. So yeah, so that's my sort of, I guess, mini breakdown of what's the oracle deck. And for me too, sorry, I keep talking. For me, like, oracle decks can be just as deep. I'm not trying to take that away from oracle decks at all. But for me, the tarot, because it has so many esoteric systems that work with it and are underlying in it, like the tree of life and the astrology and the numerology and the elemental associations and the archetypes and the fool's journey and like all this sort of stuff. The tarot for me is like, this is a lifetime, the book of life in 78 cards with all the experiences, the joys, the sorrows, all that sort of stuff that you're going to incorporate. Whereas the oracle decks, I have not come across one that I feel is I guess maybe that thought out or resonates that strongly for me. So if that makes sense anyway. So
I'm interested to hear what you think, Ethany. Have you seen the Dreams of Gaia tarot yet? I'm sure you have. You're all over social media.
I have it.
Do you like the changes to the major arcana?
I'm all for changing the major arcana in regards to, like, if you feel that it's not modern or if you feel as though that's not what it reflects on it. I would use the Dreams of Gaia, and I've opened it, I've looked through it once and popped it away because I'm like, this is going to need some time and I'm way too busy. So I'll have to go to it when I do have some time to kind of really look at it. I adore her artwork. I think her artwork is so stunning. But Lauren, it's the Dreams of Gaia tarot. So I guess I can't really say, but I do know that there have been lots of changes. You know, even the meanings of, like, the Two of Air is not necessarily the meaning of the Two of Swords. So I would say that's a tarot that has its own system. I wouldn't say that's like a traditional, it's definitely not a traditional tarot. And there's nothing wrong with not having traditional tarot. It's just you want to look up shit. Like, if you're reading the cards, and this is why I teach Rider-Waite-Smith at the Academy, if you do my tarot, like if you do the tarot course, I teach the Rider-Waite-Smith, not because I have a big lady boner for Arthur Waite. I teach it because it's like, you Google a tarot card and the meaning is going to be Rider-Waite-Smith. The majority of the books are written Rider-Waite-Smith. You will find a lot of Thoth and some Marseille and Visconti Forza and all that sort of stuff, but most of it is Rider-Waite. So you can imagine a student picks up, you know, a deck that's completely new, and I've got tons of them, and they go, well, now I'm freaking confused. Because they go to Google and it's like, this shit doesn't make sense. Like, I already get enough students going, it doesn't make sense with my intuition versus what, you know, the guidebook says, let alone, yeah, that's a great book, the Tarot Wisdom book. So you know, and Lauren, I didn't feel connected to the Rider-Waite, like the traditional Rider-Waite, for a very, very long time. I actually started out with the Mythic Tarot, the first edition of Mythic Tarot. But it had the bones of the Rider-Waite-Smith system. I don't necessarily feel like you need to, like, Crystal Visions, like, that's a really great clone. I feel like you need to learn the Rider-Waite-Smith original or any of those versions that are those imagery. It's just more like learning that system will help. I feel like it's just learning the bones of what tarot is. But that's just me. And again, that's not for everyone, but most of the stuff you find out there, you're going to find is on the Rider-Waite. So anyway, I'm going to shut up now. After that, like. So does anyone just use major only decks? No. I don't. I have a few and I never use them. So, Lyra, how do you use your major only decks?
I have I don't go for like your standard, like there's a couple of I guess standard major only decks that are that you can get on Amazon, but I have a couple that are that are I don't know how to explain it. They're like from gypsies. what they have is it's like the whole system is built into just the 22 first cards. And so, you know, you can just use the first 22 cards. And then if you feel like you need more information, you can either pull from a different tarot deck, or you can pull from a regular deck of cards or something and read it in pips. There's the ones that I have like the astrology in there, the numerology in there, you know, but it's all very like just simple lines, but there's so many simple lines that your brain just kind of gets overloaded. If there were more than 22 in that particular deck, I don't actually know that I could deal with all of those cards. It'd be very difficult to read. So when I do that though, it's never more than 5 cards. Like I never have more than 5 cards on the table because there's so much packed into each card that it's plenty of information, and I always get an answer from it.
Right.
Yeah, but it's just because you know, if it was a simple like a single very simple picture, I don't know if I could do that with no, for just majors, but the ones that I have are they just have like little scribbles on them. There's all sorts of like crazy stuff. So
oh, wow, that's pretty cool though. That's like, but there's also obviously a lot going on in those 22 cards.
Yeah, there's definitely a ton of detail, and every time I look at them, I realize I've missed or forgotten or just learned a whole new layer of stuff that's on there.
Nice.
That was intended that I just missed the first time.
Right. Yeah. Then that can happen too with like a regular deck. Like any deck, you can stare at a card and see it like 50 times, and then the 51st time you're like, oh shit, like I never saw that like bird in the background, or like check out that. Like it's very cool when like that happens.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's cool.
I have actually a couple reasons why I don't read with majors only.
Lay it on us, Jordan.
The first reason is a very mundane reason, but I don't know why, but I really have a problem with physically only shuffling 22 cards. Like, it's a thing for me. I don't know. And okay, thanks, Jess. Thanks.
It's like, where's the rest of my deck?
Right. And then the other one is I feel like sometimes what we can do is that we can either intentionally or unintentionally say that the major arcana is more important than the minor arcana. And so I feel like that is not always true. Like if we lay out a big spread or even a small spread and we see a major card, then we go shwunk right to it. And then, you know, while I feel like a lot of the times that is applicable, sometimes the most relevant message and like the most poignant message can come from a minor arcana card.
I would say that that's actually like all the time. Because here's the thing that for me that I found I love the minor arcana. I love the court cards. Like those, like for me, like I find like I get more excited about that stuff. It's because the major arcana can go over our heads because it's like the universe moves in fucking mysterious ways, and like the devil card could like come up as that cupcake tempting you, or it can be like it could be many things. Whereas like you got the fucking 5 of Pentacles, you know what that shit is. Like it's so embodied in our experience, and that's exactly the way it's supposed to be. So I totally get you, Jordan. Like I would feel like it would be like missing out on the picture. But I mean, Lyra's working with like her decks are a completely different system, and I feel like that's a really beautiful way. And it's like the Lenormand, right? That's a completely different system. And I have gorgeous major arcana decks, and I never use them. And the only way I would use it if I would say like the major soul lesson going on right now, let's pull a major arcana card. Let's see where you're at in the progression of the Fool's journey and what you're getting stuck on. And then I would use the rest of the deck. But I tend to sometimes think too that if you leave the minor arcana out of that equation, that you could be like missing out on a court card, which is an archetype that they're having a problem with. Or they need an attitude adjustment, because that's also what the court card could be too. So yeah, it's all personal. It's totally all personal preference. But I would struggle with, and I reckon kudos to people who can do it, because I'm just like,
Right.
have fun with your major arcana.
Yeah. Right. And so I don't know. For me, I think that the major arcana talks about like these large earthen life kind of themes of life, these eras of life that we go through, and these big life ideas. But then when we come into the minor arcana, it's very specific issues. And so like sometimes that's what you really, need to hear, that it's not just this general idea of death. It's this specific thing, the specific idea of the 10 of swords. It's the specific idea of the 3 of swords, something of the nature.
Totally. And the other connection that you just reminded me too, with the major arcana versus incorporated into the minor arcana. One thing that you can do is you can see, this is a little tip, when you're reading your cards and you've laid them out and you have 2 major arcana and the rest are minor, what you can do is see like what are the overarching kind of ideas of these major arcana cards, and then what I like to see the minor arcana as well, and maybe because this is the witch in me, is like the daily divine, right? So the daily things that we can do and the ways in which we can move forward and look at things and be with each other and all that sort of stuff. How can we move forward and bring these big arching ideas down into our minor arcana experience, into our daily experience? So say we have say we have the Lovers, okay, and then we have the 7 of Pentacles and we have the 6 of Cups. And it's like, so how can we make our choices? How can we make our choices around money, around where we're choosing to spend our time with this 7 of Pentacles? How can we make this a spiritual practice? How can we bring more consciousness to it? Because the Lovers are is the sign of Gemini, is about choices. It's not just about the Lovers. And then if we've got that with the, the 6 of Cups, and we're looking at, the past, all right, well, do we have this romantic kind of, the one that got away, and is that fucking up our present right now with our love lives? Like, are we choosing to romanticize our past? So like you can look at it through layers of like, how can we bring these really big divine, if these were like major arcana we're walking around, right, they would be like our deities, right? They'd be like fucking like Zeus and his cronies up on Mount Tara Olympus just going like, yeah, I'm gonna fuck with you. So like that's what they would be like. So it's like, how can we actually bring these down to make our experiences more relatable, and how can we bring a little bit more consciousness into what we're doing? Because for a lot of us, that's how we use the tarot, right? So that's just something that you can play with. If it doesn't work, I'm sorry.
Do you have the Black Mirror Oracle?
Sorry, keep talking.
Do you have the Black Mirror Oracle?
No, I don't.
Received that one. It was a little disappointing because it ended up being a majors only plus aces.
Oh, okay.
And it was like, okay, I kind of was expecting this to be a little bit more oracle-like, and it ended up being a major.
So is that, I think I know which one, is that the one where the lady's doing the whole deck?
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen that one, but I've decided to wait, and because I knew it was just a major only.
See, I didn't know that, and I wanted that oracle deck, and then it turned out to be majors only.
If you put that up on eBay or Tarot Swap, I'm sure someone will take it.
I don't know. I'll probably still hang on to it at least until I get the full deck. But yeah, I don't use the majors only. I've only got like 3 of them, and they just sit tucked away. So
awesome. Right, we've got Sophie. Hi. Did you? Oh, hang on. Hey.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. I'm listening. Everything's so interesting. This is my first time, and I'm so excited. You're like a rock star to me, actually, by the way.
Oh, stop it.
Seriously. Yes. I'm going to make your head really big. But it's very interesting what you're saying, because it's true. Like major arcanas for me, for myself personally, it's true. I use them for personal growth, because most of the time, and I'm one of those tough bitches, that's why I like you. Because you got to be very honest with yourself if you want to do a reading with major arcanas, and you have to let people know what major arcanas are before you even let them into them. Because, for instance, if you want someone, I had this experience recently, someone with a love reading, and you tell them, okay, this is what it is, this is what it's telling me. Do I know this is true? No, I don't. But then you get these arcanas and you tell them, I can tell you a story of why you're having all these problems on the physical realm. But there is something behind it that you can't see because it's inside. Unless you go into those arcanas, you can't see why that effect on the physical realm. And that's just a personal input. That's why I raise my hand.
Totally. And that's so true, right? Because we embody so many of those archetypes. And a really cool thing that I've been working on, and I'm not sure if it's going to be a course or a book or whatever, is actually looking at how those come to play in our lives as the major.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
The more I see them, the more I read them, and the more decks I acquire, the more I realize that each one has a specific language. And that's why energy, just like you said, a specific energy will attract that tarot deck, and might be the same question for a different deck, but it's going to give you a different perspective depending on the one that you pick. Well, just again, personal
I think a lot of us would totally agree. We would say that we get totally, like, I know, for example, if I want like a nice cozy reading, like, I ain't gonna pick up the Bonefire Tarot. That bitch gonna tell me how it is. Like, like I'm just gonna walk over here. Like, yeah, so there are totally decks that you would just not go to if you were looking for certain things. And I think, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Doreen Virtue. I think she's a marketing machine. Man, would I love to have her coffers, but I'm not a fan of her decks for many reasons. But I think that's why a lot of people are very drawn to her decks, because they do tend to have a bit of more of a softer vibe. So I get that appeal, but not for me. But I get the reason why some people like it's like the little gateway to finding like.
So, yeah, you know what? I use that one for more religious people, and I've actually been looking for the what is it called? The agnostic tarot deck. I haven't been able to find it, and I want it because there's so many things in that deck that I could explain to people. But I use the angels ones for that. I try to stay a little bit neutral because beliefs play a big role in it, and I go more into the emotional part of tarot. Because it's a tool, and it's got so many great things, you know. But
have you heard of the? I kind of get a shiver whenever I say this name of this deck, but the Good Tarot. I'm like, yeah, really? We couldn't come up with a better name.
I like the Hermetic Tarot. I really do.
There's a tarot deck coming out called the Good Tarot by Colin.
I do.
I've pre-ordered it, but I think it might be another really good one for people who are like, who are really. I don't have it, but yeah, I think this would be another really good one.
I don't use the Hermetic Tarot for people because it scares them. It scares the heck out of them. It really does. But if you know, it's so much knowledge in it, and it's just dark. I mean, it's just great, but it's really cool. It's got everything you want. It's in there. It just have to do a little bit more of digging. I guess people go into tarot because of the card, how they look, and the art, which is pretty cool and awesome. But the knowledge that comes with it, it's so awesome. I guess you have to know what you're looking for.
Yeah, and the other thing is, well, you got to kind of look at what you got to kind of know what your client is looking for too. Like, you can tell, like, for anyone who's ever had a reading with me, I ask for information back, and I will know if someone is looking for, like, give it to me deep and tell me really, like, I'm doing the work and I have a block and I can't see it, tell me what it is, to people who are like, I just want to know this guy's going to call me back, right? And they're going to be very different readings. They're going to be, I mean, I'll still answer the question, but they're going to be a different tarot deck. I'm going to use a different tarot deck for, like, is he going to call me back versus, you know, so. Tarot readers give it to you deep. That's dirty, Lyra. You dirty girl. We need that on a bumper sticker. Another one of my famous hashtags. What? Don't ever apologize for being dirty. Someone asked before as well, how many decks do you guys have? No, I'm not even going to answer that question.
Bethany, girl, we all know you have like 300,000. It's fine. I have about like 30, so I just don't like to type on the chat, so here I am. But yeah, I have about like 30, like tarot and oracle, all of it, about 30.
So Alicia said 30. I have more than I have fingers and toes. Me too. Let's just say that.
At last count, I have about 25 to 30 mixed again, tarot and oracle and one Lenormand deck. So yeah.
I think I'm pushing 50. Decks, not age.
Well, we wouldn't judge you anyway.
No, I am pushing 50.
So how many do you guys use? Like, if you've got all these decks, is this like, do you guys use them all in your regular rotation?
And that's why I started doing what I'm doing. I kept picking up decks, and I'm like, you know, what am I going to use these? And so that's why I decided to do the pairing of a new oracle deck and a different oracle deck and a different tarot deck every month. One, it allowed me to get to know each deck. Because I do the interview, and those are all recorded in a book, and I do the interview for each deck that I get as soon as I get it, but that doesn't really give you much in the sense of getting to really know the deck. So that's why I started doing that, you know, so I use, like right now I'm using both the Animal Spirit Oracle and the Wild Unknown Tarot, and so every tarot spread I do for this month will be done with the Wild Unknown, including my daily draws and stuff. And then in March, new decks. And so that way also too, I don't have 25 decks sitting on my windowsill in the moonlight trying to cleanse them and charge them. I'm only doing that with the ones that I'm actually using as I go. So that's what I do anyway.
I have to, I just cleanse the ones that I'm using because I would run out of windowsill space pretty quickly. But I rotate mine throughout the season for sure. But there are some that are collection only that I would never use. And there are others that I use all the way throughout the year, and then others I rotate during the season, which is why I put the seasonal videos out. So seems like everyone has some very quite a few similar practices with how they rotate their decks and everything, which is
I do that too. I rotate mine mostly because I'm a witch too, so I rotate mine mostly based on the Wheel of the Year. And I think Serena Serena Fox is absolutely right. We need one big huge window with rows of shelves to charge our decks on for the moonlight or something. Yeah, I usually sit down 4 times a year, and I try to concentrate on which decks I'm using. But I think I use all of mine, at least mostly. There's a couple that only get used from time to time, but I think I use most of my decks.
Cool. Jill asked a question. Honey, were you talking to me about the one that I have in the big trunk? Is it lined, or were you talking to someone else? Yeah, me. Me. I haven't really got, for example, oh shit, something just fell on the floor. Oh well. It's so I've got one big box of decks here. And then I've got another chest of drawers full of decks from, I don't know what fell. It's going to do there we go. I have another big and then I have the IKEA shelves, and they're way too heavy to pull up. So yeah, this is not a plastic box, this is a cardboard one. As long as your place isn't too moist, if it doesn't get too humid, it should be fine. But that's why most of them either stay in their cardboard boxes, or I put them in a bag. No, I don't tag them. I should tag them, but I kind of, I kind of know, oh my gosh, I'm really Sorry about that, guys. I kind of know what's in what bag, funnily enough, believe it or not. I should tag them, but sometimes it's fun digging through 50 decks to try and find the one that you want, not. Okay, so we got a couple more minutes and then I'm going to wrap it up for tonight. We're going to do another Tarot Jam in a couple of weeks. I'm going to do this one earlier next time so that some people from over the pond
East Coast would like that.
and the East Coast can come in. So I'll try to swap it up a little bit. I've been terrible at the Academy doing it this year so far.
Remember, I'm pushing 50. I get tired early.
Oh, come on now. So I will do that. So is there anything that anyone wants to share before we head off with the rest of our night? Yeah, I'm in my 30s and I get tired too. My toddler, I'm like, go to bed, please. It's the kids. Well, I will see you. Oh, it is a full moon on Friday. So if you guys haven't already gotten my free full moon downloadable, I'll post it again along with the tarot spread for this full moon. And so yeah, we've been talking about charging your decks, so get your decks out there. And yeah, I will see you guys in a couple of weeks.
I do have one quick question, if I could. Just in using this app, I'm on my iPhone, and I see everybody leaving comments. How are they doing that?
Oh, there should be a chat. I don't know if you have it on your phone, but there's a chat button if you hover down the bottom of your controls.
If you tap your screen, it should pop up and it should say participants with a little chat bubble. And then, I'm sorry, hold on. And then there, if you click on that, then it'll pull up a list of everyone. And then down in the bottom left corner, it should say chat.
Oh, okay. Yes, there it is.
Yay! So now for next time, everyone knows how to do it because I'm on my computer. Thanks, Jordan.
I'm no longer a virgin. Took a while.
And yeah, I'm getting everything sorted out for Certification Live, and I'll let everyone know when that's all going up. And I'm pretty sure everyone is on the Facebook group because that's how everyone they're on the Academy. So yeah, everyone say hello to each other. You guys are all like saying hi and connecting, and this is what we're doing this for. And I'm going to start recording now.